Welcome back to the Nano Cruising Podcast, the podcast about dinghy cruising and trailer sailing. I'm Stefan Marceau, your host. Today I have a treat for you. We talk with the legendary Sven Yrvind. Sven has gone around the world many times on his tiny little boats. He's got a lot to share. You'll find out in this episode about him growing up on a small island, the influence it had on him, his first trip to Denmark, how he built Bris, and many other stories. He's a very good raconteur, storyteller. Let's get to it. Thank you so much, Sven, for taking time to be with us with Nano Cruising. So Nano Cruising is a podcast. We talk a lot about small boat cruising, and you're definitely a legend in this world. Went for really small boats, and you went around many times on very, very small boats. So, I guess the first question I have for you is, what first inspired you to design and build your own small boats?
I was born on an island.
Right.
And I was born in the late 1930s. I'm now 85.
Right.
Soon 86. So,
yeah, you're 85 years old, and you're still building boats. It's amazing.
Yeah. So it was me, my mother, and my grandmother, and a younger sister who lived on this small island. And
Right.
it was quite small. And to do the shopping, we have to do a rowing boat to the next island.
Right.
So from a very young age, I got used to these boats and everything like this.
Mm.
So, and it was, my father was a seaman.
Yes.
During the war, he was out having the cargo ship,
Mm-hmm.
But then the English did sink his boat in China.
Mm.
So I had no father, but I was only 8 months old when I saw him last time before he went away on his last voyage. So I didn't really have any memory of that or anything like that. So, and during the war, we have to watch out for the Germans because the Germans took Denmark, occupied German occupied Denmark, they occupied Norway, and Sweden, we were just waiting for them to come,
Mm-hmm.
So we put up guns and stuff like that to protect our country, and in the night time, we don't have any light up, because
Right.
then the Germans could see us.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a protective area, it was a military area at that time, and no one was, other than live there, was allowed to live there. So it was a very quiet place, and as a young man, I didn't really understand much of this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So life was very nice, really, and a fisherman, there was, rationing, you couldn't buy what you want
Right.
because, it was restricted, everything.
Right.
But, the fisherman, no one knew how much fish he caught every day, so
Mm-hmm.
he came like twice a week there and with his fish, and so there was no lack of food. And
Right.
my grandmother knew you got intelligent by eating fish.
Mm-hmm.
And we grew our own potatoes and vegetables and stuff like that. So food was nice and everything was okay.
Nice.
So life was very good.
Nice.
But then when I was 7 years old, hell broke out because they sent me to the school.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, I was dyslexic.
Okay.
And they didn't know about that at that time,
Mm-hmm.
So the
Mm-hmm.
teachers, they started beating me
Mm-hmm.
because they said I was a lazy one and I didn't know that, and so that for 4 years they kept beating me, every day. I didn't do the homework, they said, and I tried as hard as I could, but if you're dyslexic, you just don't understand all these things,
Right.
I never had any problem with reading, but, with this But then my mother got me into a boarding school with modern methods and everything like this.
Right.
And that was every fine, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I went there, but then, it's a long story too, but then as I getting older, you know, I realized, you know, the grown up, you know,
Mm-hmm.
what I think was a good life. I didn't agree, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, but I was very curious, you know. I would like to learn, you know, but
That's
I
nice.
could not learn the ordinary way, you know. I could not go to the university and things like that, and couldn't get any higher education.
Mm-hmm.
But I realized, you know, a small boat, I could live in that.
Yes.
And then everything would be fine, you know.
Okay, so you were drawn to that.
I got myself a little rowing boat,
Mm-hmm.
and I made a little deckhouse on it, and a pair of oars, you know, and then I started living in that. And then I realized this is a very good idea, you know. And then I came to Denmark, to Copenhagen again. That was 1962.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that this is such an excellent idea. And then by chance, in Copenhagen, there was plenty of libraries. And although I was dyslexic, I was not dyslexic. I had problems reading, so reading was no problem for me, never.
Mm-hmm.
So I went there and reading about all these sailing people sailing around the world, and I said to myself, well, I can sail this first boat. I thought I just sail around the coast, and a nice day I go to the next port and I stay there.
Mm-hmm.
Do a little living, and I go to the next place doing a little living. But then I thought, well, I could sail the oceans too,
Mm-hmm.
if I only do it better. So I thought, I started reading all these books, you know, but then I realized that to design them and do better, I need mathematics.
Right.
And I realized that mathematics was a very, very interesting subject.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Extremely interesting, you know, and I really liked the mathematics. So for 3 years, I was just doing mathematics. And then, except for the reading about boats and things like that. And then I started building better boats, you know, and then 68, I had a boat I sailed to England, and it went very well, but people told me I needed a bigger boat, you know. I didn't really understand why I needed a bigger boat, you know, but all the grown-ups, you know, I was in plenty of places, you know, where I said, you need bigger boats, you know. And I said, well, it's faster and you can get more girls, you know, if you have a bigger boat, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
okay, I went back to Sweden. I found an old wreck and I struck them, you know.
Yeah.
I rebuilt it.
Right.
And I sailed down to Brazil, to Rio de Janeiro. And it went fine, you know, but I realized, you know, bigger boats is just problems, you know, it's just
Bigger
no
problems.
use.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's big boat, big problems, you
That's
know.
right. That's right.
It just cost more, you know, and I was thinking, and that big boat, you know, was plenty of place, but I was sitting on one place,
Mm-hmm.
and I was sleeping on one place.
Mm-hmm.
Why do I need a bigger boat for? And then I went back to Sweden and tried to make a new boat. I got some ideas, you know. And at the time, in 68,
Yes.
when I came to England, I came to Isle of Wight,
Mm-hmm.
to Paus. It's a yachting center. They build boats there.
Okay.
One place there was a boat shop called Swedish, and they made cold molded boats, you know. At that time,
Right.
it was the state of the art, you know. You glued wooden diagonal across, you know, and you could make very strong waterproof boats.
Mm-hmm.
That was the time plastic, glass fiber was just coming, you know, in the early 60s, but this was lighter and stronger than this, so I learned to do that there. So in 71, I started building this. I tried to start.
This is Bris? This is the first Bris?
Yeah, that was the first Bris.
Yes.
And I asked my mother if I could make it in the garden. But I put up some canvas and get protecting from the rain, and then...
That's right.
But then one day, you know, the town planner came and said, "Do you have permission?"
Oh, God.
I said, what do I need for permission for? Well, he said, "No, what would happen if everyone, you know, would starting building boats in the garden and sail to Brazil, you know, it wouldn't work."
People might be out
I
here.
looked at him and I said, "Now, what would happen if everyone would be a town planner?" So, yeah, he got very angry at me, you know.
I love that.
And in the evening, my mother come back from work. I told him about this land, you know. She said, "Then build the boat in the basement."
That's right. That's what I know. You built it in the basement. You made it fit the basement.
For Cape Horn, I thought I go around Cape Horn and out in the Pacific. For all, you know, the girls there, you know, all these things, you know. But then a wave capsized the boat not far from Cape Horn. And a week later, a big wave pitch-pulled the boat. So I thought, wow, this was a bummer. I had to rebuild the boat. But I was far from my mother's basement, you know, down there in the south, you know, with blowing and everything like that. And so I had what to do. But on the map, I had the pilot chart of the South Atlantic, and there I saw this little island, Tristan da Cunha, right out in the middle. But at that time, you know, we had no communication, we had no electricity even on the board, so we just had the kerosene lamps, you know, and stuff like that. So, but then I thought, well, maybe that's a possibility, you know. So I sailed there, and after 2 months, you know, I saw the island. And it's the most isolated place in the world.
Okay.
And they have no harbor. But you know, my boat was so little. And there were people living there. And they came out, you know, in their little boats, you know, and we lifted my boat up on the beach. And, you know, at that time, I knew so much mathematics. And they didn't have any teacher of mathematics there. So I stayed there for a long time and become a teacher of mathematics.
Oh, did you? Okay.
And it was very interesting, you know, to see how they lived on seabirds and they had sheep and potatoes and all these things, you know. So that was interesting time. This was 1974. And so I sailed from there, I sailed up to St. Helena. Always a problem with money at that time, you know, because you know how to get money. But then I came to St. Helena, and that was in August, I think, 74. And at that time, I hadn't been there either for a long time. And then one day, at Tristan da Cunha, a ship came 2 times a year with supplies, you know.
Right.
But here in St. Helena, a ship came every 3 weeks, you know, so that was like the center of the world, you know, compared.
Right.
And at one time, you know, with this ship came a film crew from English TV, and they wanted to make a film about Napoleon, because Napoleon lived on St. Helena.
That's right.
That's where he died, you know.
That's right.
And so
that's right.
They were curious about me, and I looked at my boat and things like that. And I needed some helping, you know. So they paid me best money. And every day I went to work with them, you know, helped them carrying things and doing things. And they gave me food, and we became good friends, you know. So that's how I made a little bit of money there, you know.
Yes.
And then these islands, Tristan da Cunha and St. Helena, people at that time, I don't know nowadays, they collect stamps,
Mm-hmm.
and stamps from St. Helena,
I remember that. Mm-hmm.
they were rare,
Mm-hmm.
So they made some first day covers, with stamps. And I got some of them, So, and then I said, look, I'm curious, I always want to learn many things,
Right.
And so I also wanted to learn more French, So I thought, well, I better sail to French-speaking place,
Mm-hmm.
So I sailed up to Martinique in the Caribbean.
Yes.
And there I,
So this
mixed
was all
with
on-
the French yacht.
This was all on Bris one, the first Bris?
Yes.
With the two girls, right?
First-
With the two girls. Janiki and Gabby, was
That
it?
didn't last too long time. That was when I was in Madeira and Canary Islands.
All right.
But one of the girls, she was only 19 years old, and but she was like a genius. She
Mhm.
was very interested in mathematics. In fact, she was doing her doctor in mathematics,
Right.
and so her parents got very angry, when she wrote them. She was on her way to Brazil in a little boat built in a basement,
Mm-hmm.
So she had to go back. She had to go back,
She had to go back.
And then after, the other girl, she got very seasick,
Yeah.
She also had to leave.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she also had to leave. So at this time, I was just myself, So I came to the Martinique,
Mm-hmm.
and I learned French there.
Oh.
And at that time, that was 74, 75.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, there was a Vietnam War.
Right.
Well, just about to get finished, And we hear much about the U.S. And I thought I must find out more about the U.S. too.
Mm-hmm.
And before leaving Sweden,
Mm-hmm.
there was an American powerboat there. And looked kind of strange, So I spoke to them.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, well, we are people from the Cruising Club of America. Every year, we do a little cruising around, and now we're in Sweden this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I showed them my boat. And then one of the men said, well, if you ever come to the U.S., look me up,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I wrote them postcard, because many people at the end asked for a postcard. I wrote them a postcard from Tristan da Cunha, from St. Helena, from Martinique. And then he said, when I was in Martinique, came a letter. He said, well, Cruising Club of America going to have a meeting in Martinique. It would be nice to meet you again. Yes, sure, I said. So he came down there and we said a little bit, and then we come meet those other people who Cruising Club. And then I said, man, I plan now to go to U.S.
Okay.
But there's such a big place. Where to go there?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he said, Newport, Rhode Island. That's the place for sailing,
That's right.
the place.
Definitely.
And, and in fact, he said, I know a man who has a marina there. I will tell him to take good care of you when you get there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I said, that's a good idea. But this man, he was from a very good family, and when I had the America's Cup in the 1930s and things like that,
Mm-hmm.
the family built one of the America Cup boats,
That's
Hands
right.
off design it for him, and then built, and his wife, she was a very good sailor. She was in the Olympics sailing
Mm-hmm.
for the U.S. 1936 in
Wow.
Kiel in Germany.
Wow.
So when I came up there,
Mm-hmm.
I went to this marina,
Mm-hmm.
and this man there, he said, oh, yeah, we will be waiting for you, we take good care of you. And when I came, I didn't have much money all the time, you know. In fact, I only had $3, and that's not so much, you know. But I'm always used to live on crumbs, you know, just very small things, you know. And even if it was a day or two without food, I didn't really care, you know. So, but this manager there of the marina said, "Oh, that boat is go out sailing now for a few weeks. You can take his flip there, you know."
Nice.
And then he said, "There is another one leaving. You can be there, you know." And then he said, "We need this little boat painted." But, you know, the customer had told me,
yes,
you cannot work here in the U.S. You don't have that kind of visa. So, well, anyway, you know, I thought this is not too bad, you know. So it was a sunny day in the month of May, you know, and the sun was shining, and I was at the end of the dock there. I was standing painting the boat. And who came up the dock? That customer came out walking there. I thought, well, what to do? It's only the first day there, and now they're catching me working. I was not allowed to do that.
Already, yeah.
But he was very friendly, you know. He just said, "Hello, Sven, you know, very nice with sunshine today." And
nice. So he was good with you. He was good with you.
yeah, and then after that, I came down from Cruising World magazine. You know, we wanted a story.
Oh, the Cruising
But
World guy. Okay,
them,
great.
I told them I was dyslexic. And I couldn't write anything. I could do mathematics and stuff like that, but not writing.
Right.
And then they said, "But don't worry about that, you know. Just write like it's a letter to your mother."
Right.
And then at the office, the editors do the fixing, you know. But it must not be more than 1,500 words.
Okay.
So I started writing, but you know, so many adventures happened, you know, so it was more than that.
Okay.
So I fooled them. I said, "Okay, we come down and cut. You have to cut first." I said, "It's already cut, you know." Well, then we cut. So they came down and started reading. And then they said, "This is good writing," they said.
Yes.
"What we will do is we make this into a series of articles."
Oh, nice.
So next month there will be one day and another one and another one.
Nice.
In that way, you know, for many years I kept writing for this Cruising World.
Oh,
about small boats.
I didn't realize that. That's great. Yes. So that's how you found
it. So that's interesting, you see. And then I got a letter from France. They also read this Cruising World. They wanted to buy this story. Cruising World had the first North American rights.
Right.
So I could just send them a copy of the magazine, and I got money again. And then at one night, you know, there was a party, and Dick Newick was there. Dick Newick was a trimaran designer. Have you ever heard about him?
Oh, yeah, Dick Newick, the trimaran designer. That's right.
Yes, he was, at that time, in the 1970s, he was the best trimaran in the world doing that.
Yes.
And he heard about me building the boat, and he said, "I'd like you to come and work for me." So this was, of course, a very big honor. So I sailed over to Martha's Vineyard, and there I stayed for 1 year working with him, getting and learning about epoxy and everything like this.
Nice.
And then after 1 year, I sailed back to Sweden.
Okay.
And it was that time I started to build a boat for Cape Horn. Again,
Bris,
you know, I thought...
Bris, too. So what did you learn from your first boat, Bris, that you wanted to make it different for Bris to do the Cape Horn? What did you learn that applied to that?
Well, you know, when the boat capsized, the ventilation system came underwater. So the air came in through the roof, you know. every boat there comes in that. But when the boat is upside down, water came in.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, this is not a good thing, you know.
Right.
So this was 1974.
Okay.
And that was the start of this. I learned many things, you know, but this is the one interesting thing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of the air coming down through the roof, I made a hose back there.
Okay.
Vacuum cleaner hose, you know, going down to the bottom of the boat.
Okay.
So when the boat is upside down, water comes up through the water hose, but it only comes up as high as the water line outside.
Mm-hmm.
So no water can come in when the boat is upside down.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And also made the hatches waterproof.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And also, you know, like 80% of the time you're in port. So I thought that I did a bit better interior arrangement, you know.
Yes. Okay. Good.
And I wanted to, you know, it was very hard against the wind. I made a deeper draft of the boat.
Mm-hmm.
I made a bit more beam. I made the boat stiffer. And in that way, I was able to, but I sailed down to Brazil again.
Okay.
And then I sailed down to Argentina.
Mm-hmm.
But the strange thing was, you know, in the tropics, you don't have any clothes on out sailing, you know, because it's so hot, especially on the equator. Mm-hmm. But then I saw on my stomach, a thing was bulging out, you know. I thought, what is this? This is an odd thing, you know. And then, when I came to Argentina,
yes,
there was a doctor at the yacht club and said, what is this strange thing bumping out on my stomach? And they said, this is hernia, I said. So what is this? I said. Well, it's the guts. They go out through the muscles and they get kind of squeezed together. And it's, do I have to worry? He said, well, he said, you can die in 3 days. You know, they get, it's closed. It's like you close your guts, you know. And no pills.
Right.
But he said, luckily you are in Argentina now.
Right.
We will, at the yacht club here, we'll help you at the hospital. So we take you to the hospital. We make an operation on this. And then after a while, you're good again. So, but you know, this was operation in the stomach. And
oh my God.
So afterwards, you know, it was very painful. It took a long time before I got to use. And they said, you know, you must make this heal very good, you know. So it was not before May I could start south towards Cape Horn. At the same time, this boat was in aluminium, and it was a Swedish company. I got well known in Sweden after coming back this and writing for the. So they said,
I can imagine. We
sponsor you with aluminium. And I said, but I don't know about aluminium. Well, we know everything. Don't ever, but you must come up to our factory here and do the boat there. Because they can watch over it. But in fact, they only did extrusions, you know, aluminum extrusions. They didn't know anything about building boats. And then when the boat got launched, there was a lot of corrosion in it. And the corrosion got just worse and worse.
Oh, no.
So when I was in Argentina, I said, I must go around Cape Horn before this boat is finished, you know. So I couldn't wait another year.
No.
So in the month of May, I sailed south. And it had winds and strong, and, you know, the boat was only 19 feet, you know. And this was the time before the GPS.
Yes.
So all navigation has to do with the sextant.
Yeah. It must be hard on a small boat. I've tried it. It's not easy. So on a small boat, it must be very difficult.
Yeah, and also especially, you know, as far as south you go. And as further, and the sun was on the way up to Sweden, north. So the sun only came up like 11 degrees above, just above the horizon.
That's
It was only like a few
kind
hours
of borderline.
daylight. And down there.
Yeah. And I think on Sexton, below 10 degrees is no good. So you're pretty close to what you can do. It's really hard.
Yes, exactly, you see. And you could get pretty good longitude.
Mm-hmm.
But you see, you have to get a fix.
Yes.
You have, two suns to cross each other,
Yeah, you need to.
But
that's right.
You get such a bad angle, so it's very unsafe,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that was really the biggest problem, sailing down there. But it was, of course,
so you
very
made your
cold.
so you made your way south towards Cape Horn.
Yeah, and I went through the Mesh Strait,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really very bad tide there, it's like 10 knot currents, and when the current goes against the storm, it's very brutal waves, But anyway, I managed to come through, and I managed to pass Cape Horn, get a bit out in the Pacific, and got pictures of Cape Horn.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, it was the smallest boat in the world to do it. It was.
In fact, you received, the World Cruising Club. You got the Seamanship Award for 1980.
Exactly.
Yes.
They gave me the Medal of Seamanship. And that was when they were 100 years old, so there was like celebration. They were 100 years old too, And at that time, there was only 13 people who got that medal, So they didn't do it like every year. They just waited in to find a good man, That's what it said.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So that was a good thing. But then, so there are some islands southwest of Cape Horn.
Yes.
Isla Diego de Maris. Have you ever heard about them?
I've heard about them, yes.
Yeah, they're
pretty nasty islands. Pretty nasty islands down there.
Yeah, and I was not sure about my navigation, and the boat was corroding away. So I thought, and really why I was sailing around Cape Horn, because I was curious, because
of course.
This is the good thing, and I like to design boats, to be safe, a small boat, and I thought, but I done this good, it's better to be safe than sorry,
That's right. Mm-hmm.
So I got my pictures, and then I sailed east to the Falkland Islands.
Mm-hmm.
And then I stayed there for 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
Then around, and then I started sailing north.
Yes.
But then outside Buenos Aires, Latitude of Buenos Aires, this trim rudder I had for steering, It carried away, it corroded away,
Oh no.
And then there was a lot of corrosion in the boat, so I went into Brazil.
Right.
And I thought, this is, the boat is not safe. I took it up, and that was just corroded right through, It just like water starting coming in.
Oh my God. Yeah, not good.
So I shipped it back to Sweden.
Okay.
And then I just leave that thing, and start building another boat.
I told you how he was a good storyteller. Well, he's got more. We got one more episode. He's got a lot more information to share. So come back for the next episode. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being there and being the listeners to this. We need a little help from you. If you can spare some time quickly and give us a 5-star review, we'd really appreciate and help grow this podcast. If you'd like to be more involved, join a Facebook group, Nano Cruising. If you want to keep abreast of upcoming episodes and be notified when they come out, you can either subscribe on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, whatever, but you can also subscribe to our email list on nanocruising.com. Thanks again for joining us. Until next time, seize your own adventure.